What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 questions that will elevate your conversations. Now, I feel like these questions can work for anything. It could be day-to-day conversations. It could be whenever you're on a date. It could be dating app, whatever you want it to be for. These questions are literally going to elevate your conversations. And so we're going to say the question, then we're going to break it down why I know that it works. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, whenever you're having a conversation, some people don't know what to talk about. You feel like, you're going to be having the same conversation, you're going to be going in circles, but you don't know how to exactly navigate in the conversation. So these questions are definitely going to give you the next step that you need. So let's go ahead and get into it. Number 1, what does a typical day look like for you? Now, why does this question work? First off, a typical day could look like anything for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? What they'll tell you about is what they do for work, if they like to go work out, what they like, if they like to cook, or if they have like a meal prep. They'll tell you exactly what type of fun activities they like to do, if they have pets, if they have to take them for a walk, if they have kids, if they like to do family things. It's going to tell you a lot about them, right? What does a typical day look like for you? For me, it'd be like, oh, you wake up, you do, your trading stuff, you start getting to work, you go to the gym, you start doing this and this, and it gives you so many topics that you could talk about in the conversation. So let's say that they say, I like to, I wake up, I go to the gym, I like to cook, I do this and this for my business. That's a couple topics that you can break down. So what do you do for your business? Like, what does that look like? Or what made you start that? You can have follow-up questions from one question. Okay, you like to cook. Like, what's your favorite thing to cook? Oh, you like Italian food. Okay, so you must love to cook pasta or, lasagna and stuff like that. Like, what do you, like, you could always have some type of follow-up question after the first one. You know what I'm saying? But the key thing is that you got to ask, what does a typical day look like for you? And then from there, you can just navigate exactly what type of topic you want to talk about. And then you just take it from there. Number 2, what are you most passionate about? A lot of people, they have some type of passion that they feel like they can talk about. They have some type of passion that they feel like they can be able to, that they're already working towards, right? So if a person is passionate about losing weight, they're in the gym often, right? If a person is passionate about trying to be successful, they're, trying to become an entrepreneur, they're trying to work on creating their own business, right? You have a lot of people in different fields that they're already passionate about. If you have an animal lover, why are you an animal lover? What makes you passionate about that? And the thing is that, like I said, with all these questions, is that you can have a follow-up question after that. So what you could do is, if a person's like, oh, I'm an animal lover, I'm so passionate about animals, it's like, what type of animals is your favorite? Like, do you love, a 4-legged animal, a 2-legged animal, a 25-legged animal? Like, do you love the furry ones so you can cuddle with them? Like, what do you love about animals that makes you an animal lover? And then, if they don't do that for their profession, then it's like, why don't you do that for your, for your job and stuff like that? So find out what people are passionate about, because then that gives them something to be like, oh, well, like, I love this. And again, it gives you an insight to who they are, what they like to do, and a little bit more about them than just what are you doing, or what do you like to do, what do you like to do for fun type of question. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's going to break outside of the normal, that gives you something to actually dig deeper on. What are you passionate about? Give it a try. Let me know what y'all think. Number 3, what can you talk hours about? People love to talk, especially if you're talking to a female. They love to talk about themselves. They love to talk about what they have going on. So if you give them the space to be like, what could you literally talk hours about? She will tell you, I could talk hours about blank, blank, blank. Again, it kind of goes to the passionate part, because if she's talking about it like that, most likely she's passionate about whatever it is that she's speaking about. But at the same time, like, it gives people a space to be like, oh, like, he actually cares about like what I care about. That's the whole point of these, these questions, is that they want to feel like you care about what they care about. So if you care and you're like, what do you like to talk? Like, what could you literally talk hours about? Okay, you could talk about faith. You can talk about business. You can talk about cosmetics. You could talk about, like, what could you literally talk hours about? You know what I'm saying? And then you just go from there and you literally break it down. And if you give them the space to talk about it, then likely they will literally just sit there and talk your ear off about it. So, maybe get into more details of, if they're like, oh, I'm into, I don't know, like I said, like the animal question, just be like, well, what is it that you feel like you could talk hours about for an animal? Like, give them the follow-up question to dig deeper, and it lets you have the conversation, and it runs a lot smoother. It doesn't feel like it's forced. It doesn't feel like the things that y'all are talking about so repetitive. Like, it gives you a lot more to dig deeper with. And the thing is that if you do it, I wouldn't say in this order, but if you start with, what does your day-to-day look like? Well, my job is I work at an animal shelter. Okay, well, like, what are you passionate about? Well, I'm really passionate about animals. Okay, so like, what could you literally talk hours about? And it's like animals. Like, you can just literally break it down to keep going, and you can keep talking about the same thing if you want to, or you can break it down and talk about multiple different topics. That way the conversation isn't just, the same thing and stagnant. Fourth question is, what's one favorite thing or what do you miss about where you grew up at? You meet people all around the world, so no one's going to be originally from your hometown. Most of the time people are traveling. If you meet someone on a dating app, people are from all around the world, and it gives you the space to let them talk about where they grew up at. Maybe their favorite thing was the scenery. Maybe their favorite thing was, the beaches that they were having. Maybe their favorite thing is, I don't know, whatever they grew up at. It could be the food. It could be the environment. It could be that they have a lot of family down there. It could be literally whatever. But if you give them the space to be like, what's one favorite thing about where you grew up at? It allows them to dig deeper, to think about something that not a lot of people ask them. You typically ask people about like their childhood or about, where they grew up at, unless they're trying to like visit it or, whatever the case is. But if you dig deeper and you're like, what's one favorite thing about where you grew up at? It allows them to dig and think a lot more than just a normal standard conversation. Like, whatever you actually think about where you grew up at, it allows you to go back to your childhood. You're like, oh yeah, I actually missed this, and I think about this, and I can't wait to go back because of blank. Like, and if you want to, you could also pitch, like, if you want to be, a little smooth about it, you'd be like, yeah, I thought about going to Italy. I've heard a lot of mixed things about it. Like, tell me about it, and then they'll tell you about Italy. And then if you want to still visit it, then you can easily be like, oh yeah, like, we definitely got to go and check it out. Like, you got to show me this and this that you're talking about, because then they're going to be excited to want to do it with you. They feel like they can relive that experience, and they can live that experience with you and through you. You know what I'm saying? So try it. What is one of the favorite things that you miss about where you grew up at? Just try it out and then let me know. Fifth question is, what is your favorite way to spend the weekend? This is more so like, what do you like to do in your free time, right? Instead of you saying, what do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do in your free time? Just say, how do you like to spend your weekends? Some people will spend it in and go to, go to a coffee shop. They might stay at home. They might read a book. They might be doing some cleaning, right? It depends on the person that you're talking to. But if you ask that question, then it tells you what they like to do for fun without you asking them. You know what I'm saying? A person might like to go out and club. A person might like to go to a sports bar. Some people like to go to, just try different food spots. They like to go to the park and just try to take a walk, try to restart their week. It really varies per person, right? But you're going to learn a lot more about what they like to do for fun than you just saying, what do you like to do for fun? Asking, what does your typical weekend look like, will give them a space to be like, oh, like, this is literally what I do on the weekends. Like, I like to go and make sure I spend time with my family. I like to make sure that I can take care of, whatever I didn't take care of during the week around the house. I like to cater to my kids because I'm off of work. Like, it gives you a place and it gives you a conversation to actually have outside of what do you like to do for fun. And then from there, if you guys have matches or you guys have, things that you have in common, then you could do that. You can be like, well, I actually like going to this arcade. Have you been here before? You can start suggesting stuff, but it gives you a deeper, I won't say analysis, but it gives you a deeper understanding to what they like and who they are. So what do you like to do for fun is not always the best one. I would always recommend, what do you like to do on the weekends? Or what do you like to do in your downtime, right? Either one of those. They might like to be on their phone. The list can go on, but those questions are definitely going to get you to the next level and a lot deeper than just the normal, what are you doing? What do you like to do? What are you not what are you passionate about, but, what do you do for work? Like, all these basic questions that most guys or most people like to ask, and it keeps the conversation super basic. People love to have an intellectual conversation, but not a lot of people can have the intellectual conversation. Does that make sense? Like, you got to be able to dig deeper, and not a lot of people know how to do that. If you stuck around this long, I have a bonus question for you. The question is, what do you wish you were better at? that question right there is going to give people something to think about. Like, man, what do I wish I was better at? You know, people love to boast and talk about themselves. They love to actually talk highly about themselves. But if you give them a space to be vulnerable and say, this is actually what I'm working on. I want to be, you know, different. I want my mindset to be different. I want my finances to be different. I'm really trying to work on getting out of my shell and talking to people. Like, you know, I want to be more social. I want to go to more events. I want to do this and this. Like, it gives people a space to be vulnerable, right? So the extra question is, what do you wish you were better at? And, you know, people that are open to being vulnerable and feel like the conversation has already flown well. Again, when you go through those other steps of the questions, you know, you're receptive, you're able to be open, you're able to be vulnerable yourself, because I'm sure she'll ask you the same question, right? As long as you can have a flowing conversation, then it's going to be able to open that door for you to be like, okay, I feel comfortable with this person and I can actually tell them what I want to work on. I can tell them exactly what I'm trying to be better at and what it's going to take for me to get there. And then, you know, that gives you a perspective inside their mindset. You know what I'm saying? Because if a person is like, I don't know what I want to be better at, I just take life day by day. But you're a person that's like, oh, I like to plan things out and I'm a goal setter and I'm a go-getter. Like, that's going to matter. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go, and whenever you ask that question, it's going to tell you a lot about them for sure. But yeah, you guys, that being said, those are the 6 questions that I think take conversations to the next level. And unless you really understand a person, and it gives you a good, I wouldn't say scenario, but it gives you a good foundation if you really want to talk to this person, or if this is a person that you want in your circle, and then really being able to move from there, because all these questions are going to get deeper than just the basic ones, right? And by the end of all of these conversations, you know, you're going to actually know exactly who you're talking to. And I wouldn't say have it like rapid fire either, because some people are like, okay, I have the questions, like, here's one question, you answered it, here's the next question. Do not do that, because then it's going to sound like more of an interview, right? You want it to be smooth, you want it to be, you know, receptive, you want to be able to respond to what they're telling you and ask follow-up questions if you have them. And if you feel like the conversation is kind of dying down, you know, depending on the setting, depending on where you're at, then just move on to the next question and watch how the conversation just moves. She'll be like, wow, like, I've never had a person really ask me these questions before. Like, he's actually a good conversation starter, or he's really good with communicating. These things matter whenever you talk to people. So give it a try. Give it a try. And let me know if you guys have any other deep intellectual conversation starters that can be able to elevate any conversation, because those 6 questions have not failed in any situation. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you're learning about somebody or you're having a conversation, those questions can come up and you can be able to utilize them to be able to take the conversation to the next level. So that being said, y'all, it's really all I got for y'all. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until then, I will catch y'all in the next video. Go.